I just called him.
Was it last week? I thought you were on vacation. Okay. I'm sitting there going, wait a second. Come back in for a commission meeting.
Please enjoy this Verizon ringback tone while your party is reached.
Hello.
Hello, Commissioner, you there?
Yep.
We're just getting ready to start.
Fantastic.
As soon as we get the thumbs up, there we go. All right. Welcome this morning to our commission meeting. We have Commissioner Ivey on the phone with us and the two commissioners here. And as always, we'd like to start with a prayer, reading, or thought, and the Pledge of Allegiance. And we look to the audience for anybody who would like to participate with us in that. Are there anyone who would be willing to give a prayer, reading, or thought, or lead us in the pledge? At the pledge. Anybody for a prayer? I see a smile, but I don't see a hand. Would you like to offer that?
I did last time, but that's okay.
Okay. Come on up then, Cody.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this day. We're grateful that we could gather to discuss the needs and the things that will help better the lives of our community. We pray that we can be guided to make proper decisions, to discuss and listen to constituents, and to be able to make the decisions necessary to help others. We're grateful for the freedoms we enjoy in the land that we live in, and for all the things that we have. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we'll build our agenda. We'll put everything on consent as either approved, ratified, or agreed to, and then we'll pull things off of the consent agenda for discussion as we move down through that. On our regular consent agenda, we have 13 items. Are there any items that need to be pulled off?
I would like number 1 held for a quick discussion.
Number 1? I don't have any. Commissioner Ivey?
I do not have any.
Okay. Moving to our regular agenda. If we could hold number 6, 7, 8, and 9. Are there any others?
Nope.
Any others?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
Just as a mention in number 10 for those watching online, that the annual employee appreciation holiday parties on December 11th. That's staying on consent. Just put it in your calendars, please.
Okay. Any discussion on the items that we put on consent? Seeing none, then we'll move to number 1, which is to ratify the Utah County 2018 Fair Treasurer contract with Mel Hudman.
So I know how we got to this contract, and I support Mel in his work. I appreciate that. The part that I've asked Ben to speak to is, this is what's weird to me, is we've gone through this fair back and forth, is we have an agreement with the CVB in which they sign and authorize all contracts for the fair. That way it's not actually through the county, even though we thought we ratified that. We'll fix that at another date. The question is then, how does the commission then insert itself, and we then take this contract and approve it as a commission through the county.
Sure. Ben Van Noy, County Attorney's Office. Mr. Hudman, as we know, was the auditor for many years. He retired, and after that, Mike Stansfield, this is my understanding from Fairways, when we had a contract with them to do the fair, brought Mr. Hudman on to be the budget officer over the fair. As I understand it, we've had a contract with him since around 2006. He's been doing this for a while through the county. So I think the reason why it was done through the county this year is because that's how we've been doing it. Why do we do that now? As opposed to him being like a vendor that presents or does something at the fair, he's performing more of a service for the county on the budget side. So I think that's why I assume in the past we felt it more appropriate for him to have a contract through the county. Now that being said, there is this amount that we pay to him has been budgeted out for the fair budget for years, and so whether we go
Well, actually, we fixed it 3 years ago. We actually then made this number concrete in agreement because Commissioner Lee and I were involved. Again, it's not the amount. It's
Right,
more
right.
the process,
which
making sure we got the
description, sure.
contract under the right entity.
Sure.
That's really my concern.
Sure, and I think it is appropriate that it stays through the county because he's performing a service for the county as on the county fair committee to help with the budgeting process. Again, it could go either way because there's the budgeted amount that's set aside for the fair. It could go through the UVCVB, but because of the service he's performing, we feel it was appropriate. It was through the commission.
Okay.
So we're in the process of looking at a new process when it comes to
Right.
the fair, and I'm sure this discussion and many others will come up, and maybe we'll collect them all and get in the buckets as we go forward.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so as well. I really look forward to cleaning that process up as we work through these additional meetings on the fair.
Okay, I'll move then that we ratify the contract as stated in number 1.
Second?
I got a motion and a second to ratify the Utah County 2018 Fair Treasurer contract with Mel Hudman. All in favor, say aye.
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 That passes 3-0. Okay, number 6 is to adopt a resolution providing notice of intent of the Board of County Commissioners to levy a tax rate that will exceed the Utah County certified tax rate. There's a whole bunch more on there, and also creating a time for a public hearing to discuss the 2019 budget for the general fund. So that's on the agenda right now for us to consider some comments on that.
None for me.
I think this is just an extension of our meeting the other day, the next step in the process of evaluating and looking at this. I've received some public comment, which has been appreciated. I'd still like to hear more and look forward to setting this meeting in anticipation that we can have additional comment and feedback on it.
I have been receiving comments as well from the public and many others. I would hope that as we go through this process that we get to numbers instead of generalities. I'm seeing a lot of generalities that some of them are even inconsistent, even in some of the wording that we have on the items, before us. And so I'd hope that we don't just do it on generalities, that we get to some specifics. Is there any other comments? Okay.
Okay, then I will move. Now, Dave, do you want me to say the resolution and then read this portion? Is that what I need to legally do? So, okay. Then I will move that we adopt the resolution with the notice is hereby provided of the intent of the Board of County Commissioners of Utah County, Utah, to levy a tax rate that exceeds Utah County's certified tax rate. The date, time, and location for a public meeting to discuss the proposal to levy a tax rate that exceeds Utah County's certified tax rate, and the date, time, and location for the first public hearing to discuss Utah County's 2019 budget for the general fund and other budgetary funds of Utah County are hereby set for Tuesday, December 4th, 2018, at 6 p.m. in room 1400 of the County Administration Building at 100 East Center Street in Provo, Utah.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second, and I want to, a comment that I have for it, as I've gone through, because of the generalities that have been put into this thing, and looking at the budgets that we have so far, the projected budgets into the future, I will be voting no on this, because I have not seen anything in concrete yet. I haven't seen anything that, according to the budgets, that will head us in a direction that seems out of balance. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. So we got 2-1 on that one. Number 7 is to adopt a resolution providing notice and stating the following: Utah County intends to levy a tax rate that exceeds the county's certified tax rate. The dollar amount of this is about $7,500,000. Some discussion. There's a lot more in there. Discussion on this.
Yeah, again, this was the number that we set the other night for that discussion. Again, not committing to any vote, just waiting to see, like you say, the
Right.
specifics.
Yeah.
So,
Just on the wording, for me, I have some clarifications. If it says the tax rate is, it says, let's see, get back there, that would generate by the proposed increase in the certified rate is $7,500,000. I think it should be up to, because it's not, that's the only option. It should be up to $7,500,000 as the cap.
And that was my question as well, as if how that needed modified. As I expressed in our previous meeting, I personally feel that that number is, given our historical patterns over the last 6 to 7 years, specifically the last 2 years of being around 3 to 4 million over budget, I feel that number is higher than necessary at this time. And so I anticipate at the end for me it being lower as we do dive through these details, but supported the notion and recognition that we can come down. And so I want to make sure that on this we are not bound to that number.
Yes,
Dave, if you could clarify that.
yes, the language that we have in the resolution and on the agenda is the language that we need to use for the action today, but that does not limit that just provides an upper limit. And at the, when you finally take action in December, it can be in that amount or in any lesser amount or in no amount at all. But this is the language that needs to be included in today's agenda.
You're talking about specifically where in the resolution?
Increase in the certified tax rate is $7.5 million. So if the ad valorem tax revenue, if the increase in the certified tax rate is increased to that amount, then it would generate that dollar amount. And again, that does provide a cap, but the language that is in here is the language that needs to be in.
Where does it say the cap?
Pardon me?
Where does it say the cap, or where does it give flexibility?
No, it doesn't state in here that it is a cap, but that is the legal effect of it, is it being a cap on the dollar amount. What I'm saying is the language that is in the resolution is the language that is required by state law.
And why couldn't we add more to it and just state that it is a cap and it's up to?
Because the statute doesn't read that way, is why. So what I'm saying is the legal effect of this language is a cap on the dollar amount, because when you take final action, you can adopt an increase in any amount, in this amount or any lesser amount, or
Doesn't
none
say
at
that.
all.
Where does it say that?
I'm saying that's the legal effect of it.
Okay.
So for clarification, for 100% clarity, this language makes it so that we could go up to this amount and could be significantly less than. It's a non-binding action in that regard today.
That is correct.
yeah, we don't even have to raise the rate,
Yeah,
even
right.
with this.
Right.
Right. You cannot,
As we pour through the budget meetings over the course of the next month, getting details from departments, their specific requests, projected revenues, et cetera, and drill down into the numbers specifically as audits are finished up on various departments. We will be able to adjust that number anywhere from the 7.5 down to nothing.
Down to nothing. That's correct.
Okay, that's good to be
And I
understood.
think Commissioner Ivy hit on a key point that I think the public needs to pay attention. When he talked about the budget meetings, all of our budget meetings, and I shouldn't say the first round because that would be incorrect because Brian's staff has been working already and so has our department heads. But the first public portion of these start next Tuesday, October 1st, as far as the department, or Monday, October 1st. I got the date right. Monday, October 1st, and those will all be on YouTube for every department so that everybody in the county can see the specific details. And also, if you have questions at that point, it's a great time to bring them up over the next 2 months after you see those.
Right. And in relation to Commissioner Lee, I echo your concern about a generality here. But my impression is that it starts as a generality, and as we go through those meetings, as we look at the detailed numbers that come out in the preliminary budget, et cetera, that's when we will be able to really fine-tune that number down to an appropriate level.
Yeah, I understand that. When we put in the resolution that we're looking at it for public safety needs, roads and infrastructure, and I don't remember the last time we put roads actually out of the general budget or general fund when that happened. There's a few things in here that are just kind of off. So I see these inaccuracies and not knowing the numbers and where we're at makes me nervous.
So, I do have to say it's funny. When we came into office, 3-4 months into it, we decided to plan and start having county working days where we had all the department heads come together. And I asked at that time for them to give me a 3 to 5 year, and even a 10-year plan, which would obviously that'd be a projection. Last night, as I was reading this for several hours, reading through, and during the budget process, I'm amazed. I shouldn't be amazed, but I'm amazed at the accuracy and the projections of which has happened over the last couple of years. And as they've talked to, and I'll make that public again, that document that has been public. I think people will see and realize, because we've talked about roads a lot, for example, the projection that was in that as of June 2016 is quite, 15 was amazing to see how accurate that's been based on current needs. Same with the attorney's office, same with the health department, and talks about a lot of those things. So it was good reading, and I think as we go through that process, I think we should try and make that even available on our website so that everybody can have all of the details to see where those departments are heading. So are we ready for a motion?
I think we're ready for a motion.
Okay, then I will move that we adopt a resolution providing the following. The Board of County Commissioners of Utah County, Utah provides notice and states the following. 1, Utah County intends to levy a tax rate that exceeds the county's certified tax rate. 2, the dollar amount of the additional ad valorem tax revenue that would be generated by the proposed increase in the certified tax rate is $7,500,000. 3, the additional ad valorem tax revenue that would be generated by the proposed increases in the certified tax rate would be utilized by the county in its general fund for all lawful purposes, including the funding of law enforcement and public safety needs, roads and infrastructures, necessary capital improvements, and public services to address the needs of growth throughout the county. 4, the approximate percentage increase in ad valorem tax revenue for the county based on the proposed increase is 27.56%.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any additional comments to that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed, aye. So that's 2-1. Next, we have to set a date, time, and location for a public hearing to discuss and amend the increase in the 2018 Utah County budget in the general fund and various other budgetary funds. Suggested date is Tuesday, October 2nd, 2018 at 9 a.m. in this room, 100 East Center Street in Provo, Utah. And part of the reason for this opening of the budget is because to send out these notices for this proposed tax increase is gonna cost us about $70,000.
Yeah, in fact, I got the information from the treasurer's office that's been putting everything together, and at this point, we're looking between 60 and 70,000. 60,000 is what they're projecting, but there always is additional stuff there, so 70 would be the cap.
And these postcards go to every parcel of property to let all those owners know so they can come and be heard, correct?
That is correct. They go to every parcel.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay, any more discussion on that?
No.
All right, a motion to be in order.
I'll move that we set a date, time, and location for a public hearing to discuss amending and increasing the 2018 Utah County budget in the county's general fund and various other budgetary funds for Tuesday, October 2nd, 2018 at 9 a.m. in room 1400 of the County Administration Building, 100 East Center, Provo, Utah.
Second.
We had a motion and a second to set that date, time, and location for the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
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 That passes 3-0. Number 9 is to set a public hearing to consider the disposal of a significant parcel of real property consisting of 6.42 acres located at 1050 South, 500 East in American Fork. You want to come talk to that, kind of tell us kind of why we're here again, or I shouldn't say that, but here we are again.
Richard Nelson, Public Works Director. This is one that you've seen about 3 or 4 weeks ago on the agenda. As we set the public hearing for the disposal of this, we had a miscommunication in how we were to do the noticing and get it on the agenda. So in talking with Mr. Moore from the Attorney's Office, felt the best way to do this was to put it back on and start the process again. So we do have this is to set the public hearing for the disposal of the property. There is some noticing that has to happen in the next couple of weeks prior to that public hearing. And then at that point, we'll have an agenda item on the public hearing, and then also for action for the commission to declare it surplus should you so choose. Is that correct?
Very good.
Okay.
Yeah, just so the public understands that what happens is when the county buys property that it no longer identifies as a need for government, we have to go through this hearing, call the disposal, to call it surplus so we can sell it back and populate those funds back into the funds they were used.
And there is a threshold there on the
Right.
dollar amount, the value of it as well, so.
Yeah,
That's this process. Thanks.
thank you. A motion to be in order.
I'll move that we set the public hearing as stated in number 9.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to set the public hearing as considered in number 9 on a regular agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 Passes 3-0. I have not had any word that we needed number 11 or 12, but we need 13 and 14.
Yeah, I didn't know of 11 and 12 either.
Yep.
Okay, move that we strike 11 and 12 from the agenda.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to strike items number 11 and 12 from our regular agenda. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Passes 3-0.
Move that we approve and set a date, time, and location, excuse me, for a closed meeting to discuss the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual or individuals for today's date at this location following completion of regular agenda and work session items.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve and set a date, time, and location as stated number 13. All in favor, say aye.
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 Passes 3-0.
I'll move that we approve and set a date, time, and location for a closed meeting for a strategy session to discuss pending or reasonably imminent litigation for today's date at this location following completion of regular agenda and work session items.
Second.
We had a motion and a second to approve and set a date, time, and location as stated in number 14. All in favor, say aye.
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 That passes 3-0. We do have a work session. Commissioner Ivy, strategy discussion for Utah County 2019 benefits. Commissioner Ivy, are you?
Yes.
Oh,
Go ahead.
you have it on here for a work session for a strategy discussion for Utah County 2019 benefits?
I don't, for me?
Yeah,
But you'd
Well,
put it
how's
on
your-
the agenda.
Yeah.
I put it on the agenda for Ralph, and he was gonna come and do a strategy session, but at this time, we're gonna go ahead and not do the strategy session.
Okay, so we're not ready for that one yet.
Okay, so let's, well, I guess, I don't
Okay.
strike
Yeah,
it, whatever.
sorry about that. That was, I had clicked that on there as an approval because of the request, but it's apparently not done yet. I thought you were saying that I was presenting them, like, no,
Well, I'm just, all I saw was your name at the bottom.
sorry about the confusion on that, but that Spring's correct with that. We'd had the request from Ralph for that presentation,
Okay,
but it's not quite ready yet.
okay. Are there any public comments then? I don't know.
We
have
don't
to-
need to
we don't
strike
have to
a work
strike a
session.
work session.
No.
Public comments? Yes, go ahead.
Hey, Richard Nilsson, Public Works Director. Just in light of the fires that we've had this week, I just want to bring a couple of things to light for the public that have come out of the meetings that I've been attending this week. Two different things. One is I think it was last Monday, maybe Tuesday. The Red Cross was at the cooperators meeting and said they had a problem because we have about 6,000 people that are evacuated from their homes and they have nobody in their shelters. In fact, they had a list of homes available for people to go to, should there be that need. That says
Not
a
one
lot for our
person
community.
stayed overnight.
Yep, not one person in the shelter. And then also, it was on about Thursday or Friday, I don't remember which day, the days all kind of blend together. Todd Pachota, who is one of the incident commanders he's actually on the Bald Mountain Fire, talked about the public meeting they had been to the night before, and that the public was there and a lot of them had brought their children with them, and the kids had brought cards and posters and things like that for the firefighters. So that's just not something they ever see. The community involvement, the community appreciation, just a good day to be a resident of Utah
He
County.
actually went even a little further. He actually had tears in his eyes when he said driving to that, saw little kids out there selling lemonade and tomatoes
Trying to help.
and the appreciation. So our community should be commended for being really how great they are.
Kudos to the residents of Utah County.
Absolutely. Thought he got the same presentation.
Stole his thunder.
Yeah, Cody Law, Utah County PIO. Richard did steal my thunder. Just to kind of go a couple steps further, at that same meeting, the governor was there and the lieutenant governor, and when the Red Cross got up to talk about their problem, their good problem, the governor stood up and said, "Welcome to Utah County." And it just goes to show the compassion and the help that the community does here. But to give you an update on the fires, as of last night, Bald Mountain is sitting at 18,596 acres burned, 61% contained, and there's 601 personnel working on that fire. Pole Creek is at 101,800 acres burned. It's at 56% contained and 1,227 personnel. The reason I give the contained statistic is because 4 days ago, Bald Mountain was at 0%. 3 days ago, it was at 12%. 2 days ago, it was at 23%. And last night, it was 61%. And all of our meetings yesterday went from proactive to taking care of the fires and how to communicate to it's time to start wrapping this up. And we're going to work on repair and recovery. And 2 days ago, it was a complete different feeling in the meetings. So yeah, the next part I was going to talk about was the Type 1 teams that were brought in. They're just so surprised at the community support and that there's just so much stuff that's being offered. As the county PIO, I'm paid to not have an opinion about government because I receive information and then I put out information for the community. And regardless of what my opinion is of government, what I've learned in the last week and a half to 2 weeks is the cooperation of all interagencies with federal, state, and local has been quite an eye-opener for me personally. There's been pretty seamless cooperation of getting all the agencies together to communicate and get out the information to the public. And I think that goes to show more of the characteristics of our community here. And then one last thing about community support. So I was at church on Sunday, and this little old lady who she has some physical disabilities, she's pulled me aside and she said, I really would like to do something for the firefighters. And what she does in the ward, since she's not able to do much, is every week she bakes 6 loaves of bread to give out to different members of the ward who she feels like needs a little love and support. And she asked if she could bake some loaves of bread for the firefighters. And I said, well, that would be nice, but they've been very strict. See, these hot shots and firefighters that go out, they have a very strict diet. And Commissioner Graves, you can help me remember, I think they have to eat like 8,000 calories a day.
It was crazy, I know.
and that food is very controlled by their dietitian because they have to stay healthy to be out there and to do their job. And on another side note, the other thing that they were so shocked and surprised, all the federal fire people, was no structures damaged and no injuries with all these, with all this fire, which is unheard of.
There were some minor injuries, but.
It's a couple stitches and minor burns, but no deaths, no casualties. And I know a lot of us have been praying for rain, and we didn't get much of that until the last 2 days, but I have a strong feeling that those prayers were heard of by helping with no casualties and no structure lost. Anyway, back to Marie Leroy. Last night she sent me a text and said, I still am going to bake some bread. And so on my porch this morning was 50 loaves of bread.
Jeez.
So she said, please give them to whoever can take them, who has helped at all. I brought half of them here today. So everybody here leaves with a loaf of bread, or else I'm going to go around to every department and drop off loaves of bread. The other half I'm going to take over to the command center in Spanish Fork and give to all the management people over there. It's just been an amazing opportunity, and I appreciate the support of Commission and everybody helping out and learning more about this community and what a great place we have to live in. Thank you.
So I'd like to add to Cody's comments, and it's easy to appreciate the firefighters and everybody's work, but the things that go unseen in stuff like this is the tremendous men and women of our sheriff's department who risk their life and limb and literally go up in the middle of fires, grab their neighbors' horses or their horses and go and help corral cattle and pull horses off the mountain to help save everything that matters to every Utah County resident. And those things don't make the press because obviously flames are high, temperatures are hot, helicopters are cool, dropping retardant. But those men and women have worked tirelessly to go up and save every livestock, everything they could. And not only that, then sit there patrolling roadblocks for 12-hour shifts, not being able to leave, not being able to go get a soda or a water and things like that. So things that I think this community also appreciates. But I just wanted to make sure we drew attention to those great men and women who have done such a great job. So Chief Deputy Brower, make sure you please let your folks know our appreciation.
I'd also like to make a comment. The separation, there's a separation between, you've seen some comments probably from me on this issue. I want to be very clear of the separation between the two comments. First, when it comes to the fire itself, the firefighters, the law enforcement, the cooperation, that's one issue altogether that is, you know, I think that these incident commanders, I've watched them over the years. I think it's actually something the federal government does very well. They're very effective. I wish they could replicate that all across their divisions because I'm so impressed with how they handle what they do, and they stand it up overnight. And it's not just, you don't even see what's going on. They've got payroll going on. They got vacation happening underneath. They've got coordination. They've got all kinds of stuff that's happening besides the fire that they're trying to put out. And so I've always been impressed with the incident commanders, the firefighters, and what they're trying to accomplish. But the second issue that I need to speak to is the underlying issue of how we got here in the first place, and why we even have to have you know, these incident commanders come and have the potential of this kind of a threat. And That is a whole different discussion that, that needs to happen. There are more than 50 county commissioners throughout this state, and most of the counties who feel the same pain have been there. And this is not by any stretch of the imagination over with. There is so much more to go that's going to happen with floods and slides and springs that have to be repaired and reseeding of the mountain. There's a lot to come. Sometimes they say when a fire happens like that, you're only a third of the way through the disaster. You've still got a long ways to go. And then ultimately, the conversation that we have on who can or should manage these lands, and how can we manage them appropriately so that we don't get into these situations into the future. Those are discussions that if we don't have now, and if we don't start now, we'll never have them. It'll soon fade, you know, after a few years, and next thing you know, here comes another ripping fire right down the Wasatch Front again, and now we have it in your backyard. And so those discussions need to be made. I made a commitment when I came on as a commissioner, I wouldn't duck the hard issues. We're going to take it on and talk about it. And so, along with the firefighters, not to put a damper on it, because they have been miracle workers in so many ways, and I think the hand of God has been with them as they've worked through their processes, trying to get things done. And our law enforcement up there, you know, working with the public, and that's always a challenge at times. But I think in this case, it's been a rewarding challenge for them to work with them. And so, thank you for the great work that you've done. Any other public comment? Okay, we will go into our closed meetings. Thank you, and then we'll open up afterwards. Hey, Mike and Richard, are you guys staying? Yeah, would you?
Mike who?
Oh, Mike